Three, two, one, and we are live for a new episode of Electrek Podcast. I am Fred Lambert and on Do Not Disturb. And as usual, I'm joined by Seth Wintraub. How are you doing this week, Seth?
I'm good.
All right, we have a lot to talk about this week. We're gonna start about the biggest story of the week, even though we talked a little bit about it on last week's podcast. But it was breaking news at the time. Like I said, I'm still going through everything. We're talking about the Epstein files here and how it affects Tesla, if it will affect Tesla to any degree. I think it will. I think this is not a story that's going away anytime soon. Because Tesla doesn't have just one person in the Epstein file; it has two literal board members in there. We're talking about the Musk brothers. Obviously, Elon. There was a lot of rumors going around before the release, so we knew that there was some emails between Elon and Epstein's. Elon's story was always. Epstein was trying to get me to the island, and I always refused. So the keywords here is always refused. And then there was media reports that Kimball Musk, Elon's younger brother and Tesla board member, had a relationship with Epstein, and that Epstein had presented him with women in the past. Those were media reports that were clearly. They knew what they were talking about because we didn't have the emails public then, but now we do have the emails public, and it's clear as day. So Epstein has provided women for Kimball Musk, one woman in particular. Her name is sometime redacted in the file, sometime isn't. I'm not going to name her right now, but the rule that was put in place for the release of the Epstein file is that the DOJ is only allowed to redact the names of the victims. Like you're not allowed to that name any other people's name. There's plenty of other names that have been redacted. Even Elon's own name is redacted as at time in there. But what we know is that Epstein has presented a woman to Kimball, and then Epstein was sort of in charge, or at least had a lot of oversight over this woman's agenda for the or schedule for the remainder of the last few months of 2012. 2012. And he was keeping up with Kimball, saying, "How do you like said women?" And he was like, "I love said women." And he was like, and Kimball was responding to other people in the Epstein circle, telling him that you need to take care of Epstein's girl. Things that look obviously very bad when we're talking about someone that was at that point already convicted of soliciting prostitution from a minor. So basically, here are the things that we know for a fact that we can say. Elon or Kimball will not sue me for saying that. They both had a relationship with a convicted pedophile for an extended period of time. And in the case of Elon, we can say that he was actively trying to go to the wildest parties thrown by Epstein at the time that already we knew he was convicted of soliciting prostitution from minors. And in the case of Kimball, he was hanging out with him and, having access to certain women through Epstein. So obviously things that are quite terrible to hear in the first place. But then the craziest part about this is Elon's reaction to it. Elon's was already previously lied about, saying that he refused to go to the island. We now have all the evidence pointing to him asking to go at least on 3 different occasions. We cannot prove that he went to the island, although there's one specific calendar notification for December 2014, where it says that Elon Musk to the island in Epstein's calendar. The people that wrote that are redacted, which is strange again because only the victim are supposed to be redacted. So unless the victim put that in Epstein's calendar, it's unknown. There was another time in 2013 where Elon was arranging all the logistics to go to the island, and it's actually Epstein that had a conflict of schedule and said, "You're not coming." And there's some rumors about if there was really a schedule conflict, because one thing is clear: Epstein was trying to get close to Elon Musk. There's several evidence that he was trying to approach Elon, get people in his entourage to act as intermediary to meet him and talk to him. So he was trying to do that. In that case, he was the one that backed off at last second. But in 2012, there's another time too that we don't know what happened. So 2012, 2013, 2014, there was three occasions. Two of them we don't know if he went or he didn't go, and that's it. He claims that he didn't. Now, this is Elon then started changing his story throughout the course of the week, where he said that actually he admitted to the emails and admitted he was trying to go, but he said it was no big deal because he was trying to go with his wife. So a little bit change of his story. I don't think that really is a good counter argument. Plenty of people have done terrible things with their wife prison, and also I would note that's the same time that they got divorced. Also, I'm not saying that this is the reason for the divorce, but if my husband was hanging out with a convicted pedophile, I don't know if it would play into it. Let's just say.
Yep.
So yeah, now the big question is like what happens now, because Elon had a bad week. Elon even admitted to being depressed on Twitter. He was like, all the money in the world doesn't buy happiness. That's true. I can tell you that right now. So he's not having a good week, but that's on his own. Like, I wrote a tweet that went viral earlier this week where I was like, there was a way that if Elon is clean in all this, which he cannot be completely clean because obviously he did entertain a relationship with Epstein after his conviction, so that's in itself is not really clean. But let's say that he never went to the island. Let's say that he didn't do anything illegal with Epstein with his sex trafficking stuff or anything. He could have just come out and say, "Look, guys, I know these emails look pretty bad. I admit that. I didn't know that Epstein was a convicted felon at the time. Possible, unlikely considering the way that the email, and he knows that he throws like wild parties. It's pretty clear from the emails that he knows like that
Yeah,
what Epstein does.
he asked to go to the wild party.
Twice.
And also in another email, Epstein's like, "Yeah, I'm saying there's no girls over 25 coming."
Yeah, he was that was a weird one. So that Elon, he said that's good for him, that email, because it shows that
they were up to 25.
I think Epstein was inviting him to a party in New York with the UN diplomat, and Elon was like, "Yeah, I don't want to hang out with UN diplomats." And then Epstein was like, "That's code, you moron. It's just cute girls under 25." And it's like, but then we don't have a follow up.
Yeah, not yet.
That email, so we don't know what happened. Maybe he took the phone and then called it like, "I'm coming," because during that time, by the way, he
just got on the plane.
Yeah, he did hang out with Epstein. So the other thing we do know from the emails, Elon had several phone conversations with Epstein's and met him at least twice. One gave him a tour of SpaceX in California and Los Angeles, and once met him at his house in New York. And that's probably the craziest part, is like there's a chain of emails from when he went to his house and he went to a party in New York, and Epstein emails his assistant saying that to arrange a massage for Elon Musk. And we all know, if you've been following the Epstein story quite a bit, the massages, we know what they means when they mean a lot more than a massage, and it's a lot of what is sex trafficking stuff was going around. Now, all terrible stuff, obviously, and normally what would happen, I wrote that in the story here, in a normal company, you would have oops, sorry, I skipped that. You would have an independent investigation right away. Okay, we have a board member and our CEO embroiled in the biggest scandal in recent US history. And Kimball, by the way, has been silent for weeks now. He hasn't been public whatsoever. He's not tweeting. He's not doing anything. He probably has real PR people behind him telling him to shut up, while Elon does not, and he's just blabbing his mouth and just digging his grave deeper because he's lying about the situation consistently. But yeah, you open investigation, say, all right, let's get to the bottom of this, and then obviously Elon and Kimball recused themselves on the board during that time, and then normally termination, I would assume, like because it's out there, it's clear as day. It's not like, I mean, Elon can claim all he wants that he didn't touch anyone, whatever. It's like, okay, but you still lied like crazy about it, and you did entertain a relationship with Epstein after he was already convicted. And you were asking about the wildest parade. And then a bunch of shareholder lawsuit would come. Now, is that really what's going to happen with Tesla? I have serious doubts, just because of everything else that the board just brushed away with when it comes to Elon. He has full control over the board, so it would require like a mutiny. A mutiny? Is that how you say it in English? Mutiny?
Mutiny.
It would require a mutiny from the board where, I mean, I'm I don't have much hope for anyone on the board other than JB. That's the thing I'm most disappointed about right now is that we're not hearing anything from JB. JB seems to be perfectly fine with what's happening. Like, there's no. If I was on the board at Tesla right now, there's not an amount of millions of dollars I could be making that would make me hang out with those guys. Like, as it's like, all right, I either try to do something or I leave. I just don't want to be involved. And we are not seeing that from these people. I'm seeing a lot more Tesla departures, though, in the last few days. I have to admit, like, I've seen a lot of people leave Tesla. So there's that. But not at the highest level just yet, and not at the board. It's extremely disappointing to see. As someone who's been covering Tesla for a decade, I'm like, I think we reached peak Tesla a few years ago already, but I think it's quite downhill from here. If there's a bunch of more operational stuff that we talked about all the time, a bunch of strategy stuff that we think Tesla is doing wrong, but the core morality, even though it's a company, doesn't necessarily have like a moral compass. There's things you just want to get as far away as possible, and things like that should be one of them. And the fact that they're not doing anything tells you everything you need to know about Tesla right now. Is just a family business of the Musk and Elon in particular to do anything with. It's not a company that employs 100,000 people that you need to protect their livelihood. You have you had an important mission until last week when they changed it to amazing abundance or whatever. But you have this mission to accomplish. It's it's, if you cannot detect it from my voice right now, it's extremely disappointing from Tesla. What do you see happening, Seth? Do you see something coming out of this?
No. I just don't see them doing anything about it. I mean, unless Elon is walked, with handcuffs on into a jail or courtroom, I just don't see them doing anything.
Yeah, I mean, not at this point. Do you think anyone's gonna go to prison for Epstein situation other than Maxwell? No, and certainly not Elon. And again, we don't have any proof of Elon doing anything wrong. We just have proof of him, for a fact, asking to go to the wildest parties of a convicted pedophile, and 2, lying about it extensively after the fact.
Don't see anything happening.
Yeah. I mean, Tesla had a bad day on the stock market the few following days, but the entire stock because of that. They're not like, oh man, I don't want to be invested in a company led, was asking to go to the party of a pedo. It's and speaking of pedo, it's it puts it in perspective, right? When the old pedo thing, when he said that you pedo guy.
The pedo guy thing.
Yeah. And when Elon had this little spat over the big beautiful bill with Trump last year, and he came out with the email saying that the tweet saying that oh, big shocker, Trump is in the file, as if like he was revealing something new. That was really the last time he talked about the Epstein file on until last week, when he was like, I was the one pushing for the file to be released more than anyone. And that was his narrative for like half a day. And he referenced things like back then when he said like, isn't it funny that Epstein killed himself for a Democrat hoax, because Trump was calling, when he's still calling the Epstein files a Democrat hoax. So he was like poking at the fun that Trump would say that, even though like it's obviously not a hoax. And 4 days in of this happened like Friday night, the release, Friday afternoon, and then the whole weekend. A few days later, I think on Wednesday, Elon retweeted someone saying that it is a Democrat hoax. So in 4 days, he went from I couldn't have done anything wrong because I was pushing for the files more than anyone, to what, this whole files thing, it's a Democrat hoax. It's just nuts. All right.
Yep.
Moving on. Tesla. One thing that's could affect Tesla when it comes to that, it's the demand issue. Like, it's not going to help demand issue. No one wants to buy cars from people affiliated with the Epsteins, and in Europe, it's been the thing going on for a little bit. But a lot of people are like trying to call the bottom on Tesla in Europe, and a lot of people thought it did happen last year because it was pretty rough for Tesla in Europe. But nope, not even close. The first information coming in from Europe in January, Tesla was down. Well, from here we'd have it 43%. There was a little bit more in markets that trickled in over the last few days since I posted this. It looks like Tesla is down so far roughly 30% in Europe in January 2026 versus January 2025. And why this is important? Because it was obviously just 1 month so far this year of data. It's not super deep information, but you have to remember that in January 2025, Tesla was super down, and people were like, it's no big deal because there's the Model Y changeover, and that's what's affecting sales. Now we're a year later, the Model Y changeover is done for a while now, and it's still below that, so it's pretty bad. The worst one is obviously Norway, went from 689 units to just 83. Norway is Tesla's second biggest market in Europe after UK. The UK is also down, by the way. We got the information since then. Norway was a lot of demand being pulled forward into Q4 because of a change in the EV incentive that made vehicles over a certain price ineligible, which included most of Tesla's vehicle. So that hurt Tesla quite a bit. France also down 42%. The silver lining is really Sweden up 26, but at the same time it's on 405 units. It's not a big market for Tesla, and it's quite a volatile market, especially these days with Tesla is still like embroiled in a big strike situation in Sweden, because they just don't want to support unionization at all. But yeah, we're gonna be monitoring that in the next. Obviously, this is always a big ramp up in the last month of a quarter to see how February and March looks like. But I wouldn't be surprised if we do see an actual bottom for Tesla in Q1 or Q2 2026 in Europe. But the big question now is like how low is it gonna be if Tesla falls from over 300,000 units in 2023 to now last year was closer to 230,000 units. If it falls below 200,000 units a year in Europe, you have network. You have to look at Gigafactory Berlin and see really how useful these assets are for Tesla. Tesla did launch a new. Oh, yeah, said.
Did you have I was just going to say, can you imagine Tesla pulling out of any countries that with Norway being in just double digits of sales? You have to imagine there might be a place that Tesla just finds it not worth doing business in. Or would that be too bad?
I don't think Norway. Not like Norway right now was very hard in January. I think the old quarter was going to be way down compared to Q1 last year. but I think it's going to pick back up a little bit after some of the demand being pulling forward, just ease back into new demand, even though much lower new demand because again of the incentive situation and Tesla's demand issue in Europe in general. But yeah, could they pull out distribution? Yeah, yeah, for sure, or at least reduce the number of stores, like the expansion that they had in France and Norway, in Germany, for example. Like they have significant infrastructure deployed there, and maybe it's not sustainable at the current levels of sales that they are, which are down like no joke, they're down like 80% from their peak. And Tesla at their peak, Tesla thought they're going to continue to grow. It's just not what happened. So that, but but Berlin, I don't know. Berlin, I think we're gonna see what happens with the union, with IG Metals, with the Workers' Council, which I think is coming up in a few weeks. I think it's early March. That's gonna have a big effect, I think. But the strategy for Elon is obviously autonomy. So he thinks as soon as Tesla solves autonomy, like they're gonna have infinite demand for their vehicles. So I don't think he pulls the plug right away, but it's something to watch for, obviously, because even as much as Elon wants to dream about autonomy and then humanoid robots and everything, if you have a productive asset that costs billions of dollars to run, and you just have no demand for the products coming out of it, it's a giant drain on your financials that you have to pull the plug at one point or the other. So I think the job security at Gigafactory Berlin is not great. I know that they are planning to do things like battery production for energy storage and Tesla semi production, which those are, I think, a little bit more secure. But I think the Tesla's problem, and as a whole, the man with the brand, all the metrics regarding the brand are going down or crashing like crazy, and that's before what happened with Epstein last weekend. Like I think people are, especially investors looking at the stocks, are completely underestimating how big of an impact that is, because what you saw in Europe with all the Nazi stuff, all the white supremacy stuff, having a way bigger impact on Europe than the US. I think you're gonna have a similar impact on the US, because the Epstein story, if anything, has been growing in the last few months rather than subsidizing with all the effort to look at something else. And Elon just lost all credibility on that with everyone except his more hardcore fan base, which is now kind of an echo chamber that just talked to itself. So for the broader public, like I had so many people that just don't talk to me about cars or don't talk to me about Tesla and Elon in the last few weeks. They're like, "Hey man, have you seen that thing?" It's like Elon is like all over the Epstein files. It's like this is gonna stay around for a while, and it's gonna affect Tesla's demand as a whole.
Yeah, I mean,
But yeah,
I wonder two things. Like, one is like, are people like that were hardcore Tesla fans offended by his pedophile, connections to pedophile stuff? Is that like enough to kind of whittle down the hardcore a little bit, or split the hardcore a little bit? And then two, when you have the stickers about, do you get a sticker about the Nazi, or do you get a sticker about the? I do not endorse.
there's a whole new
Nazi.
market. Elon just opened up a whole new market for stickers.
Right.
you just you
I'm
s-
not a Nazi or a pedophile.
yeah, you slap it next to the Nazi one. You're like, I bought this car before. I knew Elon love to defend pedos. But yeah, no, it's a bad situation. For your first question though, I honestly have not seen any of the hardcore people. I've seen even like people like Holmar's blog, like Omar, like defending this stuff, which his biggest like propagandists on Twitter are like Sawyer Merritt and Omar Quasi, Wolmar's blog, I think is his handle, something like that. And Sawyer, of course, like ignored the whole thing. It's like it didn't happen. It just Tesla's a great company that sells cars, and Elon is perfection incarnated. But Omar, is a little bit crazier in the head even then, and he went pretty nuts, like defending Elon's response to it and everything. It's sad to see. It's sad to see that like what people will do for a few bucks is desperation.
Do you think they believe, or do you think they just want the money?
I think for them their entire entity is like revolves around Tesla. So
Yeah.
obviously, if
Okay.
you tarnish the brand that much, it's like you don't just tarnish Tesla, you tarnish me because I'm been defending them for so long. And if I was wrong, then who am I? Like that stuff is hard for them. That's definitely a problem. Like um, with the brand itself, with the cult of personality being so strong. But I think obviously no one can defend this. Like everyone that I've seen defending, like he didn't go. It's like okay, maybe he didn't go, maybe he did, but that's not really the issue. He still asked to go to the wildest party of a famous pedo. That no one can deny, and that probably eats at them a little bit. I would hope, unless there's like no soul left whatsoever. All right. On the good side for Tesla this week, they launched what is probably the most value car in the lineup. Like the lineup of the Model Y is going like crazy. And the Model 3 too, we discussed that like a few weeks ago. Like we've never seen so many different variants of a Tesla vehicle before. But the Model Y is also catching up now with the Model Y all-wheel drive. And I would say standard all-wheel drive for clarity, but Tesla wants to drop the standard. So standard is the decontented base version of the Model Y that launched. Uh, so we have a new comment from X. He didn't go hit the targets that went. Like, okay, yeah, I agree with you on that. Everyone that went should be investigated and everything, but that doesn't excuse the fact that he wanted to go to the wildest parties of a convicted pedo. I think that's pretty straightforward. And if you wanted, like, we don't report on, like, people are like going after me. It's like, why are you not going after Reid Hoffman? Well, I don't really use LinkedIn, and I don't report on LinkedIn or Reid Hoffman. I report on Tesla and Elon Musk. So of course I'm going to talk about that. And so it's more telling that you don't want to talk about it than we are talking about it, if that makes sense. But going back to the Model Y all-wheel drive, this decontent version starts at just $42,000, and it's just 2,000 more really than the decontented rear-wheel drive version. So it's the closest that the lineup has been to get the dual motor version, and it still gets a decent 294 miles of range. So a decent, almost 30 miles drop versus the rear-wheel drive. But what's interesting? It's 4.6 second 0 to 60, which is actually faster than the premium all-wheel drive. So I don't know where all that. I would assume it's the weight. Well, it's the weight, and the battery is supposed to be different a little bit too, but it's not supposed to be better. So I would assume that most of the performance gain would be less weight. But what is less heavy in that standard, like a light bar? Like how much does a light bar weight? The glass roof is still there, even though I know it's not the same glass. I don't know if the glass is lighter. Um, I don't know really what's so heavy in that. But yeah, I still think like the rear-wheel drive at $40,000. I'm like not a fan of all the content that they remove for it, especially the good ones. And but so it's $2,000 more. So you would think that the value offer here is not a great difference. But then you look at the price of the premium rear-wheel drive versus the premium all-wheel drive here, which is a $4,000 difference just
Yeah.
for the dual motor. So in that sense, paying just $2,000 more to get the dual motor, because you get everything else is the same. Now you get like a $2,000 extra value that kind of compensate for, I think, what is too much remove for the price of the standard rear-wheel drive. So standard all-wheel drive, I think it's a rare win for Tesla these days. I think it's going to be popular in Canada, for example. Yes and no. I think I just checked. It actually doesn't. It might not be eligible for the $5,000 federal rebate. So if that's not the case, then
Oh yeah.
yeah, that could be a little bit harder for Tesla. But it's just off by like a smidge. So maybe they adjust the price. Maybe like they do you know what they used to do in Canada. They would like reduce the range via software, and then um, and then charge. You can just buy it after the fact. But now they changed the rule actually in Canada where it's the total price that you're paying rather than the base price of the car. So when you add options onto it, it does count towards the eligible price, which I think is $50,000 now, and but not software that you buy after the fact. So Tesla could still, do its thing. I've seen that launch in US and Canada earlier this week when it launched. I don't know if it launched in Europe yet. Maybe the comments could let me know if it launched in your country. All right, one more Tesla news, and then we have a couple of Chinese EVs that we want to talk about. And then we're going to have some time to take you guys' questions. So if you have any question for us about any of the topics that we discussed today or any other topics in the EV world that you want to take on, you can put it in the comment section below, and we're going to get to it in just a few minutes. But last thing on Tesla is the Roadster. Tesla filed for a new Roadster trademark.
Woohoo!
Woo! So it's still alive. There's still some there's still some life in the Roadster program. It's not fully dead. Elon has been talking about an unveiling in April or in Q2, but he's been saying that. He said that a bunch of time. It never happened. So I don't put any weight now on what Elon says anyway. But the Roadster is a little bit interesting. The trademark, because we talked about Tesla just dropping the ball when it comes to trademark lately. We talked about the Cybercab, and then Tesla like last minute filing for cyber car, cyber vehicle, and all that. They're just not been doing great on the trademark front. So it looks like they want to get ahead a little bit here. So there's this new, font that they're using for the Roadster name, which is like classic Tesla, but in italic, it looks like, which just, we don't care that much about that. What we care more about is this little line silhouette of 3 lines that was also filed with the trademarks. And that sort of give us maybe a look at a potential updated version of the Roadster, because I need to remind you that the Roadster was unveiled almost 10 years ago at this point. So the new Roadster is not only expected to have different capacity, different features, and all that. It also expected to look different, or at least hopefully. Even though I do think that that's actually an AI version. I do think that it didn't age badly. I think 10 years later, it still looks pretty sharp, but it needs to look a little bit different. Like Tesla could not be sitting on their hands on the design of the Roadster for 10 years and expect it to go smoothly after that, especially with the demand issues that they already have. I think they probably have less demand issues at the income bracket of the people that can afford the Roadster, but that's another thing. So yeah, I did try to use these line and fed it to an AI to try to like see if, because it does look, if you look, so this is the regular version. You look at this line of the roof here, and it's a lot smoother, a lot longer than this sharper edge here. Like you see a sharper edge at the top. Looks more supercar like, more like Lamborghini like, more aggressive a little bit. So I just use the exact same, but give it the sharper turn at the top here. Like you just go up and then slopes down longer but quicker from the front end, if that makes sense. It's just sharp. But even the silhouette is probably exaggerated in itself, because this assuming this is the fender line, you don't have this much like windshield / roof like from the fender. Like you look at the proportion of a car normally on the side, and even an aggressive like sports car, supercar light, and you still about from the apex of the roof to the fender line. Normally you double the size or almost double the size depending on the rear well. In this case, obviously you have big wheels, but you know what I mean. This is exaggerated a little bit. Are you have technically you have a couple Roadster for a free set. Are you allowing yourself to get a little bit excited by that, or just nope? No.
No, I'd get more excited about a lawsuit that would like try to. And actually, we can do that now.
Did talk about that, huh?
Because I'm now free and clear of obligations.
Yeah, other legal
familial.
situations. So
yeah.
Yeah, you're not tired of talking to your lawyers. You or did you find a good one that could get
I
involved
got
in
a
that?
pretty good lawyer, I have to say.
Yeah, I mean it's something that we can talk about, but the ones that I talked to so far said, yeah, I mean they never said when they're gonna deliver, so you kind of screw with that. But at the same time, there's like
A
there's
reasonable amount of time.
yeah,
It has
there's
to
a
be like,
reasonable amount of time, and you at some point you can just assume that Tesla is just like pulling your chain, and it's just never gonna release that thing. And I think this is probably their last shot at Tesla with this because now we are so we're February 6th, and April is just like 2 months away, less than 2 months away. So if they don't deliver on that within 2 months, you can assume that they're just like playing with you, and they have to deliver on this because we deliver on our hand. Oh man, those were the days when Tesla was not controversial. Well, and it was controversial only to petrol heads.
right.
We were just fighting against shorts and petrol heads. Now we're fighting against a cult of Elon Musk and Tesla stocks. It's nonsensical, and all of that just to get more EVs on the road, really, because that's the biggest thing that hurt me is like Tesla could be like selling 3-4 million vehicle a year right now if it didn't
Yep.
change course like it did a few years ago. All right, but one company that is doing what Tesla should have done is expand its lineup into all different segments. That's Xpeng. And Xpeng is coming out now with its 3-row SUV that's coming. That's when we talk about Chinese EVs most of the time. Oh, I have a screenshot here. Should I have that? We talk about most of the look. They remind you of something every time. Does this car reminds you of something, Seth?
I would say Hyundai Ioniq 9 or
All right, well. I mean, you're not wrong actually. It kind of look like that. I was gonna say Range Rover personally. I
Range
think
Rover. Yeah.
but at the same time, now that you say it, the Hyundai Ioniq 9 kind of has a little bit of a Range Rover vibe. But I think you forget the back of the Ioniq 9 because the
Yeah.
back is
A little bit like a boat.
quite unique. But you're
Yeah.
right on the profile though, and the front end that you're right about. But on this angle here, I think it's Cream Range Rover, big Range Rover. Obviously, I don't know the different like variant of the
Yeah, and
Range Rover.
actually, like that what Zeekr SUV as well looks a little bit like that one.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
But that's going to be a competitor to the Zeekr 3-row.
Yep.
So Xpeng is it's for the first for them to go that big with an SUV. But and it's not a giant market in China. It's getting bigger. But they are a car company, and they try to compete in every segment. They think they have like a technology to compete, and they're launching it. And they're doing some interesting thing with this one, steer by wire. So that's really good. We loved it on the Cybertruck. We think more trucks should get it. Rear wheel steering also in that segment important. AI powered chassis. Okay, that sounds a little bit gimmicky, but I did drove a little bit the Xpeng, and I thought it was a very dynamic chassis. I don't know what AI has to do with it, but 5C battery charging, that's almost becoming standard in China. I wish you would hear. 1,000-kilometer range with the EREV. So they're big right now in China with extended range. And we were a bit for a while in Electrek, we were poo-pooing a little bit that segment, but in China at this point it makes a lot of sense because they are really just building them EV first, so all electric first, and then add an extended range option for markets especially that loves it. So depending in China, if you're like in a big city with good EV infrastructure, they don't even care that much about it, and they're all electric, and they all have, because they are EV first, they all have a very decent several hundred kilometers of range, and then the extended range after that. For China is a big country, and then when you have to go further out, if the infrastructure is not quite there, it does make sense. Speaking of, next week I should test one of those vehicles if all goes well, because they told me it's set, it's a done deal. I just got a
done deal.
They told me it's a done deal.
Okay.
BYD, that is. But then that was BYD China, and then I was trying to talk to like put me in contact with the local people so that I can get the car, because the logistics of the car. So I'm going to Mexico next week, and I was supposed to test the BYD Shark. So they told me, it's you're gonna have the car and everything, but they cannot put me in contact with the Mexican people to arrange it. So I don't know.
Hmm.
I'm going there Sunday, and I'm just praying that there's going to be a car somewhere for me, because the BYD Shark is very very important vehicle in that segment, the ERV, where you get over 100 kilometers of range, so you can do your day-to-day commute and everything all electric. And then if you need to tow, if you need to get longer distance, everything, you have your extended range. They also have AR, augmented reality heads-up display, and no roof-mounted lidar. Okay. We don't have a price on this just yet. It's expected to be between 400 and 500,000 yuan, so about 58 to $72,000. And it's gonna compete with the Zeekr 9X, the Lioto L9, the Aito M9, the Denza M9, the Model Y L maybe, but I think that's a little bit lower end than this. And then we have Xiaomi that unveiled the new YU7. Well, they didn't unveiled it, but it showed up in the filings with the Chinese authorities. The YU7 GT. So what we think this is like the Ultra, the SU7 Ultra for the YU7, unless there's also an Ultra version planned for this, because it's not quite Ultra. It doesn't have the same powertrain as the Ultra, but it still has a pretty crazy powertrain, almost 1,000 horsepower, thanks to um, 288 kilowatt motor in the front and 450 kilowatt motor in the rear. So that's 738 kilowatts, 990 horsepower. It to be like a 55, $60,000 car.
That's wild.
Yep, crazy stuff.
I mean, that's faster. What is the top Taycan right now? Or I mean,
I
top
think
Taycan's similar,
just over 1,000, maybe.
right?
No,
So, I mean,
yeah,
that is like a $200,000 car. This looks like
yep.
it, and like a quarter the price.
Yeah, there's a lot of other notification too. You have like a little wider body going on. You have this one is like all black and it's sexy as hell. Like
Yeah, it looks
it's
good.
one of the best looking. I got caught this morning. So when I was writing this article, I literally like blurred out, "Damn, that's sexy!" And then my girlfriend heard me. It's like, "What are you talking about?"
Uh-oh.
And then she comes see me. She's like, "I'm talking about a car." I'm like, "Is that car sexier than me?" And I'm
The
like,
doghouse.
"No." I had to lie to her and tell her like, "No, no, of course a car
Oh,
cannot be
no.
sexier than you."
Don't
She
say
doesn't
that.
listen to. She
Th-
doesn't
th-
listen to the podcast.
Okay, Jesus. I'm sorry in
I,
advance.
I'm just kidding, guys. Your new rear diffuser that we can see it a little bit here. Oh, look at that. Oh, yeah, we have a little view of the rear diffuser. With all black, it's tough to say, but it looks pretty good. You have a bunch of wheel options with this, bigger wheels, obviously, and it's using the CATL Tenari lithium batteries. So that's the one that you find in the higher end versions of. I think it's also in the Max. We don't have range yet. We don't have pricing yet. But yeah, it's looks like quite a beast, and it adds to the SU7L that's launching this year for Xiaomi. That's the longer version of the SU7, which also launches as a new. There's a little mid-cycle refresh for the SU7 that's kind of significant, and then you have the YU9, which is the competitor to the GX from Xpeng that we just saw, and all the other three-row SUVs that's launching in China. So busy year for Xiaomi, and I hope that they come And then one quick Chinese EV you want to talk about
Real quick, your mic, I
real
think,
quick
should
is the
switch.
first production electric car.
Should switch.
What just happened? I heard some feedback from my
Yeah, your
message.
mic switched from
Oh,
the Shure to the other one.
that's strange. What did I do? No.
All right. Well, we're almost done. We can.
Oh, I don't. Okay, you're
Yeah, I think you're right.
okay. You hear me? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Um. Yeah. So CTL with Chang Changhang Niveau 806 is the first production production electric car that's using the sodium batteries from CATL. So sodium basically, think of it more like the LFP, like an evolution over LFP cells. So all the same like safety benefits, cold weather benefits, um, the life cycles benefit, but with a little higher energy density. So what that means even either lower overall weight for the car, or less batteries for getting longer range. So you see in this one here, they have only a 45 kilowatt hour battery pack, getting what they claim is over 400 kilometers of range. So that means like the car is not as heavy and can achieve more. Like I said, great performance at minus 30. That's Celsius. Um, they say minus 40 Celsius, which is also minus 40 Fahrenheit. They retain 90% of the usability.
Wow.
I need to see it to believe it, though. But if that's true, that's a game changer for all the cold climates, because everyone has been used to getting like 30-40% drop in range. For a place like Quebec, like that's like 4 months out of the year that you get a lot less range. So you have to plan that with your car purchase. So if that doesn't no significant jump from it, it's a game changer. All right, let's jump into the comment section.
All right. Carl in San Diego, what's next? I bought this before Elon and Kimball met with Epstein stickers. Yeah, okay.
Let's get that on the Electrek store as soon as possible.
Uh-oh. My thing is not working. I might have to. Oh, here we go. All right, Cope. And then reviewing R2 reviews are on Tuesday. We'll have to see about that.
Do we know about that? Is he?
We had to talk to Scooter about it. He's our Rivian guy now. Yeah. Sadly, I doubt this matters. Bad behavior isn't punished in the US anymore. The only thing that'll hurt Musk is if the stock goes down. Yeah, probably. The SpaceX XAI merger only makes it more imperative for the feds to A, nationalize all of SpaceX, or B, shred all of SpaceX contracts and demand all the money back from the unfulfilled Artemis contracts.
Yeah, for those that have been following, the merger has been official this week. SpaceX bought XAI in an all-stock deal, valuing XAI at around 250 billion, and SpaceX at 1.25, I think. So you combine 1.5, so basically the same value as Tesla, and yeah, a lot of people are worried about this because, like I said, I don't know if I said it on the podcast last week, but I've been talking about this for a while. This is just a way for Elon to make sure that he doesn't lose any money for his investors, because XAI has been having issues competing with the other Frontier models, and the competition is getting crazier and crazier every day. Now with the Super Bowl, like everyone is buying hats and everything. It's just and XAI is not even close in terms of users and paid users and enterprise users and all the thing that counts really. So they're losing about an expected $9 to $10 billion a year as of now. Meanwhile, SpaceX is believed to be clearing after costs around $5 billion a year, between 2 and 5. It's not clear. So
what's the PE ratio, like 600?
That's closer to 300 easy,
right.
Similar to Tesla. So the goal is basically to absorb XAI, bring SpaceX public through a IPO, enable all his shareholders on XAI that invested a few $1 billion with him when they bought Twitter, and then when XAI bought Twitter, and so on. So it gives them an exit through SpaceX, and they're gonna dump that on the market. I retweeted a guy this week that had a great explanation. Like, there's a real chance that the SpaceX IPO just crashes the whole 1.5, and then it pumps up like $2 trillion, and in the space of a week or whatever. Uh, it's just not sustainable. Just based on what, because you need hype behind it, and the Mars hype is not. It doesn't.
I don't think it casts a wide web. As I
No,
mean, some people are
exactly.
very into it. I was thinking, like, so you know how SpaceX is kind of under all the scrutiny about, like like space, like confidential stuff, like Grok is going to fit into that same, like, is Grok going to be like subject to all those same, or the XAI is going to be like government, regulated as much as SpaceX? Or are they going to keep it separate with a subsidiary? Like, have they said anything about that?
Apparently they did the merger with a very clear like subsidiary issue where for tax benefits, but also to protect SpaceX from any possible like liability that comes with XAI and Grok. So they covered that. Now you're right though that the threshold for the scrutiny around SpaceX is much higher due to ITAR, and because it's a defense company basically.
Right.
So a lot of people are like, okay, now the next logical step is going to be Tesla merging with SpaceX. The problem with that is, yes, they can do the same thing as a subsidiary of SpaceX, whatever, and have it set up like that, which might be good for the US. But the problem with that is I think it won't work with Europe, and certainly won't work with China. China will not. I don't think China will let that happen. Or I mean, they will tell Tesla like, all right, just you have to give up all your Chinese asset. You have to sell your Chinese asset if you want Tesla to be a defense contractor subsidiary of SpaceX. So yeah, I don't see really the Tesla SpaceX merger happening. I think Elon is pushing hard for an IPO, and I think that's going to be it. Yeah, I think it's going to be a big mess. I think that plus all of the AI company this year rushing to IPO and dump their crazy debt and spending on the public market. I think it's going to be a shit show.
And another thing is the mess that of Doge stealing Social Security personal information. That's also kind of a mess.
Yeah, apparently Elon is going to be forced to testify for over that.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's going to plead the fifth all the way through, but
Right.
at least he's going to have to do it publicly.
Elon's sick behavior, propositioning women to have his children, tracks with Epstein's psycho supreme eugenics theories. I'm not even familiar with that. Second part question: do you think the Optimus rollout will be similar to FSD, where it takes years for it to actually work, as described by Elon? I can imagine having this robot that can just serve popcorn, and it's like, oh, it's coming, like the update's coming, it's going to carry me to my bed or whatever.
Yeah, all the people on Twitter that looks for the next update. I'm like, I just got the next update. Let me see how it works. I'm like, oh, it didn't kill my cat today. that's good. No, I mean, I think there's going to be similar things in the rollout, but obviously there's a lot less usability than you can drive your car if you don't like FSD.
Right.
You don't have the same option with the humanoid robot, even though there's probably like limited use case that you can have that they work. I don't think they're gonna deliver any of them until they have some decent usability. That's it.
Well, nobody's gonna buy it unless.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, let's move through these here. Great reporting and organizing those files, Fred. All right,
I do appreciate you saying that, because it's not fun going through thousands of emails of a convicted pedophile. It's just not something that I want to do on a Friday night like I did last week.
And Electrek was in the Epstein files as well. It wasn't nefarious.
Yeah.
I think just somebody was sending him a link.
We were there 3 or 4 times in the files. One of them was someone sending one of our articles, I think a tear down article that we did,
Model 3,
send them to Epstein. And then all the other times was just like we were some part of newsletter that he was getting.
Yeah, I think Engadget or something quoted us. All right, question: with Tesla not making any new EVs, is it even worth it for Tesla to build the Roadster? They should build at least 100.
just the ones that they gave us.
Right.
The narrative right now from Tesla, coming straight from Elon, so take it with a grain of salt, is like they want to be the Roadster to be the last driving car, and then everything else is autonomy. But
Sure.
sure.
If only there was honest people at Tesla to explain that there's no Roadster program and that is never coming. I blame Tesla employees at this point for continuing to work there. The Model S Plaid has been Tesla's performance halo car for years now. They desperately need to make the new Roadster real to maintain the image that Tesla is still a leader in building super fast EVs. Yeah, I don't even know if the Roadster is going to be faster than the Yangwang U9 at this point. Like, it's just getting so silly.
No, I think they can get it a little bit like
that's 200.
They did great
horsepower or
BYD what they did, but they did it with LFP cells. That's the nuts thing.
That's
like
weird,
they did a
yeah.
supercar with LFP. It's not. So I think they BYD limited itself with that because they're like, yeah, we are very serious about just making anything with LFP for safety reasons, for cost reasons also obviously. But so I respect them for that. But it's not like they set out to make the best supercar ever. I think you can beat that.
Yikes, that Xpeng truck looks like a Cybertruck specs, all the things that made Cybertruck Tesla fail at profitability, except they have a gas engine and also they can make them much less expensive. And it looks like
I don't see a lot of Cybertruck comparison there other than the steer-by-wire and rear steering, but both of those things are also in other cars. So.
Question, could retreat from car manufacturing be strategic? Ford and apparently Tesla are convinced that they can't compete against China. When will Tesla layoffs start and how bad? Yeah, we've heard actually rumblings of like Tesla wanting to get out of car manufacturing and just building software.
But the thing is like Musk's idea was always at one point we're gonna sell FSD to other car manufacturer. They're gonna make the car, we're just gonna make the FSD. That just never happened. Like, just no one wants the FSD. So if Tesla wants to be in the autonomous car business, they have to build a car too. So I don't think we see Tesla pulling out of that anytime soon. I just think that the logic and the timing of it all was dumb to let the car business slow down so much while you're not ready. Autonomy still doesn't contribute enough to compensate for you lifting up the gas or the accelerator on your car business. Tesla could have managed that a little bit smoother, let's say.
Having sodium-ion batteries and affordable new EVs provides real competition against NCM and LFP batteries, keeping prices, capabilities, and products competitive, even if they are only in China now. And GM's got a magnesium battery that's also kind of interesting. So it's good to have some variety there.
Yeah, battery prices have been going down like crazy, and lithium price, funny enough, have been like skyrocketing. I think they've calmed down in the last week or so, but they are like way up over the last year. And it doesn't have a big impact on batteries. I know there's not that much lithium in lithium batteries anyway, but it was a problem at some point. But that's the good thing now with a diversity of chemistry and materials in those chemistry. It helps maintaining, stabilizing, and keep truly working and getting the prices down. So I think that's good.
All right, hi from Paris, and the last comment is: plus, there is the future possibility of a $10 per kilowatt hour for the Naxtra sodium-ion batteries. That would be insane. That would mean like a 100 kilowatt hour battery would cost $1,000, which would make it much cheaper than a gas vehicle.
I can't believe that because I'm looking. We're working like on our electric tractors that we got in Quebec. We're looking to make LFP or LMF battery pack in there to just boost the capacity, because right now it's just like lead acid batteries, which is not great. But we were looking at the prices for like just we're a little shop. It's the whole company's in my garage really, and so we cannot like get like high volume of battery cells, and the price are just not bad. Like you can get low volume below $100 per kilowatt hour for low volume, and you can get lower than that for a higher volume. Even though I'm not talking about automaker volume either, I'm talking about like just if you want to make like a few dozen units a year or something like that. So it's the battery prices story is like it keep going down, which is we're already very much competitive with internal combustion engine, and it's just going to keep getting better. $10 is a bit crazy though, but we never know.
All right, and the last one, guys, the pack assembly isn't free. Yes.
Yeah. No, at the pack level, the cost goes up quite a bit. Depends on what you're doing. Like for example, what we're doing right now with the tractors, you can pick cells that are good enough, like their working range in terms of temperature is good enough that you don't really need to have climate control, cooling or heating on the battery pack, and that makes your battery a lot cheaper. Your battery pack, I mean, a lot cheaper. So there's way to do it. Like if you have a cell that just doesn't need climate control, it cuts your cost like crazy. Obviously, it depends on what you do. If you do like a lot of work with it, like if you're supercar that draws 1,000 kilowatts, you need those kind of things. But if you're doing a little like city car, at one point there was no climate control, battery control, and temperature control of the Leaf for all things. So it's you can technically go back to that for certain vehicles. It's not impossible. With the sodium battery, especially if you're working on -40, it's it's decent enough. All right, well, that's it for us for the Electrek podcast this week. I'll see you guys in Mexico next week, hopefully behind the wheel of a BYD Shark. And if you did enjoy the podcast, please give us a like, a thumbs up, a subscribe, and that helps the show more than you think. It's free to do. I'm going to see you same time, same place next week. Have a good one.